Just a moment ago, Moscow police confirmed 4 people were found dead in a home just steps away from the University of Idaho campus.
Thinking about the feelings of the families and relatives of these victims would definitely put tears in your eyes. The 4 victims' lives suddenly ended in the morning hours of November 13th as the murderer stabbed them multiple times. Let's dive into the events around the Moscow murders. 4 students from the University of Idaho were found stabbed to death in a rented house near campus on the morning of November 13th, 2022. Madison Mogen and Zana Kernodle were both residents of the house, while Kaylee Goncalves had recently moved out but came back for a party. Ethan Chapin, Kernodle's lover, was sleeping over the night and was the 4th victim. 2 additional women shared living quarters there, but they weren't attacked. 2 of the 4 victims, Chapin and Kernodle, had attended a party at the nearby Sigma Chi fraternity from 8 to 9 p.m. on the evening of November 12th. They got back around 1:45 a.m. Best friends Mogen and Goncalves, the other 2 victims that night, had gone to a downtown sports bar called the Corner Club at 10 p.m. and didn't leave until 1:30 a.m. The Grub Truck, a food truck located 4 blocks south at Friendship Square, Main and 4th Streets, broadcast a live stream on Twitch showing Mogen and Goncalves ordering food at 1:41 a.m., chatting and smiling, and then leaving to take what the police initially said was an Uber ride home, a trip of approximately 1 mile. The police then clarified that the ride was given by a private party and that the suspect returned home at 1:56 a.m. By 1:56 a.m., all 4 pupils had returned home. Goncalves made 7 incomplete phone calls to her ex-boyfriend, a fellow student, between 2:26 and 2:52 in the morning. Between 2:44 and 2:52 a.m., Mogen made 3 unsuccessful calls to Goncalves' ex-boyfriend. The authorities looked into the missed calls and ultimately decided there was no evidence linking the recipient to the incident. At about 4 o'clock in the morning, Kernodle got a DoorDash order. By 1 o'clock in the morning, the 2 remaining roommates had returned. Both of the surviving roommates were said to have been asleep on the bottom level during the murders, to have avoided being attacked or kept hostage, and to have been asleep the entire time. According to the case's probable cause affidavit, however, one of the surviving roommates heard what she believes to be Goncalves and her dog snuffling around on the 2nd level while she was sleeping there with Kernodle and Chapin. A while later, she overheard one of her roommates say, "There's someone here." The roommate assumed this was stated by Goncalves, but a forensic analysis of Kernodle's phone revealed that she was using the TikTok app at 4:12 a.m., so it's possible that she was actually speaking. The survivor's door was opened twice in quick succession. The second time, she heard sobbing and a man's voice saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Near the house, security cameras captured whimpering, a loud crash, and the dog barking multiple times at 4:17 a.m. When the surviving roommate finally answered the door for the 3rd time, she noticed a man approaching who was dressed all in black and wearing a mask over his lips and nose. Unknown to her, the man simply strolled past her and out the glass sliding door. Whether or not the man noticed her is unclear. The roommate was in a frozen shock phase when she locked herself in her room. All 4 victims were sleeping on the 2nd or 3rd level of the house when they were stabbed to death. Blood was splattered all over the walls, and the victims weren't bound in any way. Both Mogen and Goncalves, as well as Kernodle and Chapin, were discovered in their respective bedrooms. No one dialed 911 until 11:58 a.m., long after the murders had occurred. One of the surviving roommates made the call from inside the house, requesting medical assistance for an unconscious person. Nothing appeared to be missing, and there was no trace of a break-in or damage inside the house when police arrived. When police arrived, the victims' 2 surviving housemates and other friends were all inside the house. The survivors had summoned visitors because they were concerned that one of the 2nd-floor casualties was unresponsive. Police did not disclose who dialed 911, but they said the caller was not a suspect. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Investigations. The police reported on December 15th that they were searching the databases of over 22,000 Hyundai Elantras from the 5th generation, manufactured between 2011 and 2013. An Elantra was seen on surveillance footage near the home making repeated runs along the same route around the time of the deaths. Investigators also reviewed footage of an Elantra driving by the victim's house 3 times, beginning at 3:29 a.m. The Elantra came back to the house for the 4th time at 4:04 a.m. The vehicle was last observed leaving the victim's area at a high rate of speed at about 4:20 a.m. Bryan Kohberger, a local resident, was identified by investigators as the vehicle's owner. He and his father had taken the vehicle to the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania for the holidays. On Interstate 70 near Greenfield, Indiana, he was pulled over twice within a span of about 5 miles by Indiana State Police for speeding and tailgating. Claims that the FBI had ordered the Indiana State Police to conduct the searches were refuted by the FBI. According to an investigator familiar with the case and investigation of the now-deleted account, 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger, who is accused of killing 4 students at the University of Idaho, followed all 3 of the female victims on Instagram, but they did not follow him back. In the stabbing deaths of Kaylee Goncalves, 21, Madison Mogen, 21, Zana Kernodle, 20, and Ethan Chapin, 20, Kohberger is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. The source also checked the suspect's Instagram account before it was deleted and found that Kohberger had followed the profiles of Mogen, Goncalves, and Kernodle. However, authorities have not confirmed whether or not the victims knew Kohberger. According to a source, the suspect repeatedly messaged one of the female victims in late October, nearly 2 weeks before the killings, but she did not answer. It's not clear if the alleged victim ever saw the messages Kohberger sent. In June, a judge will hear Kohberger's case in a preliminary hearing to see if there is sufficient evidence to move on with a trial. Kohberger's attorney during his extradition from Pennsylvania told NBC earlier this month that his client believes he's going to be exonerated. Kohberger has not yet entered a plea. On Thursday, the State v. Kohberger gag order was modified to include more parties who are under court order to remain silent. In this sense, attorneys for any interested party in the case include any attorney representing a witness, victim, or victim's family. Mr. Kohberger was a teaching assistant at WSU and a doctoral student in criminal justice at the time of the murders. Mr. Kohberger will have completed his master's degree in criminology from DeSales University in June 2022. Mr. Kohberger, as shown by his academic transcripts, earned his A.A. in 2018 from Northampton Community College in Albrightsville and his M.A. in criminal justice from DeSales University in 2019. His mother is a paraprofessional in the Pleasant Valley School District, where he worked as a security guard until August 2021. To understand how emotions and psychological traits influence decision-making when committing a crime, the suspected killer conducted a study. Around the time of the murders, he applied for an internship with the local police department, suggesting that his interest in the subject had not waned. His interest in assisting rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze technological data in public safety operations was stated in an application essay he submitted to the Pullman Police Department for an internship in the fall of 2022, as disclosed in the affidavit. On December 30th, after weeks of radio silence, police in Idaho and Pennsylvania reported Kohberger's arrest. On the same day that Mr. Kohberger was detained at his parents' home in Pennsylvania, a search warrant was executed at his residence in Pullman, Washington. 15 things were taken into evidence during the apartment search, including hairs, receipts, a computer tower, a disposable glove, and items with unusual stains, according to the list of goods taken into evidence. Pieces of a mattress cover, a reddish-brown stain on an exposed pillow, and a collection of dark red spots are just a few of the objects listed by investigators as soiled in the search warrant record. Those things were likely thought to have blood stains, according to Dr. Monty Miller, a former crime scene investigator and forensic specialist, and Jennifer Coffindaffer, a former FBI agent, who told The Independent this in January. Mr. Kohberger's white Hyundai Elantra, a car matching the description of one spotted near the murder house around the time of the murders, and his cell phone records also tied him to the crime. A few days after the murders, Mr. Kohberger had the registration plates of his Hyundai Elantra altered. In August of 2022, authorities in Moscow, Idaho, pulled over a vehicle with Pennsylvania license plates, according to a citation from the Lata County Sheriff's Office. Carfax records reviewed by Newsweek revealed that on November 18th, 5 days after the bodies of 4 students were discovered in a Moscow apartment, Mr. Kohberger transferred the vehicle's registration from Pennsylvania to Washington. June 26 was set as the day for a preliminary hearing, where prosecutors would have had to convince a judge that there was sufficient evidence to proceed with charges of burglary and 4 counts of murder. However, as reported by the Associated Press, on May 16th, a grand jury indicted Mr. Kohberger on the identical counts, thus redirecting the case to the state's felony court level and allowing prosecutors to bypass the preliminary hearing process. Mr. Kohberger is accused of 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 act of burglary, as detailed in the indictment. According to the charges against him, he did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder each of the victims by stabbing them. Mr. Kohberger is standing silent on the allegations before Lata County District Court on May 22nd, according to his attorney. The judge entered a not guilty plea on Mr. Kohberger's behalf after hearing this, setting the groundwork for a trial in which he may be sentenced to death. It has also come to light that Mr. Kohberger's parents have been subpoenaed to appear before a grand jury in Pennsylvania to discuss the circumstances surrounding the discovery of their daughter's body nearly a year after she went missing. On Wednesday, May 24th, CNN initially reported the story, citing a source who stated the alleged killer's mother had already testified before the grand jury, and that the alleged killer's father will come before the grand jury on Thursday, May 25th. Idaho state prosecutors will be able to access the data. According to Eyewitness News, the probe is related to the death and disappearance of a 45-year-old woman named Dana Smithers. Mr. Kohberger's home in Monroe County, Pennsylvania, was the last known location of Smithers in May 2022. Her body was discovered last month in a forested region. On June 26th, Idaho prosecutors announced their intention to pursue the death penalty, detailing 5 aggravating circumstances they believe call for the death penalty. Mr. Kohberger will next appear before Judge John Judge on June 27th to argue a number of motions related to the case. Recent court documents show that Mr. Kohberger's legal team has requested the court compel prosecutors to disclose additional evidence, including details on the grand jury that indicted their client and the DNA evidence linking him to the crime scene. The alleged killer claimed in a document last week that DNA from 3 other unidentified persons was also recovered at the gory crime scene and that he has no connection to the 4 students who were killed. After hearing arguments from Kohberger's lawyer and the state, the judge set the trial date for Mr. Kohberger for October 2nd, 2023. The duration of the experiment is estimated at 6 weeks. This highly painful for the victims' friends and families. Make sure to give us a like and subscribe to this channel for more.